Hey everybody, this is Rick aka Exit13, and today I thought I would talk a little bit about a discovery that I made shortly after purchasing my orange Micro Dark Amplifier. There's a reason I got the cover off of it, and I will explain that here very shortly. But I had made a bit of a discovery with this that really increases the gain level of this little amplifier. It's a great little amp. And, I'm using my Schecter V7 Chris Holworth guitar for this demonstration. But what it amounts to is the preamp tube. Now, this is a hybrid amp, has a 12AX7 ECC83 for preamp tube and a solid state SIP type PA IC. So that being said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate, do a little quick demonstration. I'm going to have the original JJ tube that came with this amplifier, and then I've also got 3 other tubes. Here I have a JJ ECC 803S, which is new. It is the long plate version of the original JJ. I also have a groove tube, premium, ECC 83S. And then I have an original, late 60s RCA 7025, which is not NOS, but it checks very well on, a vintage Hickok tube tester. So I'm just going to strike a chord real quick. You can see as that sits, how I've got everything set. The volume is wide open. And you're probably thinking, oh, that's not so bad, right? This is a nice high output guitar, lots of sustain, great guitar. And as you can see, it's not too bad. Now, the only thing I'm going to do to this is change the tube. Next one up is the long plate ECC 803S, produced by JJ. As you can see, I've touched no volume settings. Now that's quite a volume increase. Now, as you can see, that came up, a fair bit in volume and in actual gain. Obviously it made the guitar sustain a little bit better. And that was with the ECC 803S. Okay, we're going to put that one down. We're going to come over here. The next one up is a groove tube, which is new as well. The groove tube in both JJs are currently in production still, so you can still get them. Well, the RCA, obviously, that's a late 1960s USA made tube that is not in production, hasn't been in production for some time. So the next tube is the groove tube. Again, no settings changed. We'll let that warm up a minute. And we'll hit a chord again. Now the groove tube sounds pretty close to the ECC 803S, the long plate tube. And both of these tubes have more gain than the original JJ. So that's tube number 3. We're going to pull this one out. All right, we're going to come over here. Last tube up is really nice RCA 7025. Which is a 12AX7, but low noise. Let that warm up. Hit the cord. That is a huge difference between this tube and the JJ. I turned the volume down there on the guitar, but that is a huge amount of difference. So it was my accidental discovery when cycling through these tubes that in particular, the USA-made tubes, I also found that the British tubes did extremely well, very similar to the USA-made tubes. I used a Mullard in a previous test. I used a Tongue Sol, which is USA-made, and I used a Telefunken, which is German-made. And they all did pretty much identical to the USA-made RCA 7025. So the whole picture I'm trying to paint here is you can increase your volume and your gain substantially in your Orange Micro Dark or your Micro Terror amp simply by changing the preamp tube. Now these tubes here, work great. There's nothing wrong with them, especially in an amplifier such as this Fender Hot Rod DeVille, where plate voltages are higher. The Hot Rod DeVille is more of a traditional amp with a power transformer that usually provides, 110 to 150 volts across the plates of these tubes, whereas this runs a 15 volt DC source. So obviously you're not getting near as much plate voltage to these tubes. And my discovery is that the original JJs don't seem to respond as well to the lower plate voltages as the rest of the tubes do. So if you want more gain out of your Orange Micro Terror or your Micro Dark, and it comes factory with this particular type of JJ tube, replace it. If you happen to have something, like I do, where I've got several USA-made tubes, like this RCA 7025, if you can replace it with the USA-made tube, obviously that's the best way to go. If you have something of that nature, but certainly, a British-made tube if you have one, or a German-made tube if you have one, would be excellent choices. And if you don't have those and you have to go with something current production, as demonstrated in the video, the JJ ECC 803S and the Groove Tube are also very good choices in this matter, and they will provide you with some additional gain and additional volume. So it's something to consider. If you want a little more gain, it really is as simple as a tube swap away. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you learned something from this, feel free to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to, you're more than, I'd be more than happy if you subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.